We're here in Brockwood Park in Hampshire in England, and I am David Bohm, a professor of theoretical physics in the University of London. Now, as to how I came here to participate, I think it's best to begin by saying a little about my work. That in my studies in theoretical physics, I've always been interested in what they're called the deeper questions, the nature of time and space and matter, causality. You know, what is behind it all? What is universal? And in general, I found that very few physicists shared this interest, and although I pursued it as best I could. Now, when we arrived in Bristol in 1957, there was a very good public library there, and my wife and I used to go, and we became interested in books on philosophy and religion. And we picked up a book by Mr. Krishnamurti called First and Last Freedom. And I read that. I found it extremely interesting, especially because it discussed the observer and the observed. That is a question which is very significant in theoretical physics and quantum theory. Heisenberg has brought it out with the effect of the observer on the particle that is observed. Also, many other questions were raised there, and I found the whole thing very interesting. I read as many books as I could find by Mr. Krishnamurti. Then I wrote a letter to the publishers to ask if where he is. And finally, I was put in contact with the Krishnamurti Foundation in England, and they said he was coming to talk. It was around 1960 or 61, I think it was, I forget which. And so I arranged to come, and then while listening to the talks, I sent another letter to the foundation asking if I could talk personally with Mr. Krishnamurti, and they arranged a time. So we met, and we talked. I think at that time I told him about my ideas in physics, of which he appreciated the spirit. And then every time after that, every year when Krishnamurti came to London, we arranged to meet once or twice, until later I began to go to Sonnen in Switzerland, and there we met more often. And finally around 66 or 67, there was a plan to make a school in which Krishnamurti asked me to take part. And gradually the school was organized here at Brockwood Park, and I have been coming regularly. You know, I'm a member of a trustee of the foundation, which is responsible for the school, and also come down to discuss with people and take part generally.
I think it all depends how serious you are. How serious in the sense, how deeply you want to go into these questions, which is after all your life. We are not discussing theoretically some abstract hypothesis, but we are dealing with actual daily life of every human being, whether he lives in India or here or in America or anywhere else. We are dealing with the actual facts of fear, pleasure, sorrow, death. And if there is anything sacred in life, because if we don't find something real, something that is true, life has very little meaning. So, if you are really serious to go into this matter very carefully and with care, with attention, then you can share a great deal. But you have to be serious, really serious. You have to do it right through your life, every day of your life. And if you then, if you listen to it, listen with care, with attention, with a sense of affection, not agreeing or disagreeing, that anybody can do. But if you really care to find out how to live properly, what is the right relationship between human beings, then you would share completely, I think, with all that we have discussed or have a dialogue about these things in the last 5 days.